right, guys, we're gonna go over how to use this RV. First off, you have your electric tongue jack here, you have your propane tanks, and then behind that you have your battery box. Hopefully you don't need to get into the batteries for anything, but that's where they're located if you needed to. As we come around, we're gonna talk about a couple things. There's a nice storage compartment here. It's quite large. This is where you'll find most of the gear and everything. You have a very large awning. So I wanna talk about awnings with you. Just so you're aware, if it's windy, rainy, anything like that at all, make sure that guy is closed up. They are not built very stout. So if they are really, if there's weather going on, you need to make sure you have it closed. We always recommend, literally, if you're not sitting underneath it, get it closed. They don't close very quickly, and a gust of wind comes, it will rip them off. They're about $2,000 to replace, so just be extremely careful with awning usage. If we come around here, I'm gonna talk about how the door works. How we do this is you're just gonna lift it up right here. It swings around, kind of locks into place. Now, these are new seals around these doors because this is new. To open the door, what we recommend is you take your hand like this and you're gonna push right on here. So you're actually gonna compress it in and then you're gonna open the door. So you compress and then pull the lever and it'll open right up. Some people just try to pull it with this, but that seal pushes back on you and it won't open very easily. So just make sure you do that. We're gonna swing this open here all the way when we're operating the stairs. There is a blue pull handle here. To get this to come down, you're gonna pull the handle, you're actually gonna rotate it down. There are a couple notches right here, 1 and 2, and what these are for is to adjust the leg length. In case you're not on level ground, you can always adjust the length and each leg individually. It's very nice. So you're gonna pull this and then this just literally swings right down. You're gonna set it right down. And then one thing we always want you to pay attention to is this right here. You don't want a gap right here. You want this flush. Otherwise, if it's got a gap here and you go to close that door, it's gonna hit the door and damage the bottom of the door and might not close. You've bent some metal, something like that. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. Now, as we swing this back up, it just goes right back into its place. Make sure that this door is open all the way, because if this is not, this section right here will hit the door and can damage the door here. So just be really careful. You're gonna use the lever again, lock it into place, and then you're good to go. One thing I also want to discuss is awnings. When this door is open all the way, it's against the awning. You can damage the glass, you can damage the awning. So make sure if you're using the awning, you're only gonna swing this open about 180 degrees, not, 90 degrees. You don't want it to come around and hit this while you're using the awning. So just be careful with that. We're gonna go through here. This is just an outdoor storage area. You do have a couple exhausts here. This can get extremely hot, so just be careful there. A couple electrical outlets. Just a reminder, any major appliance, you're gonna need to be running the generator plugged in at the shore power at the park. Otherwise, these outlets aren't gonna work. We're gonna talk about the stabilizers. Now, I skipped past the one in the front, but this one is identical. There's a button here, it goes extend and retract. That's gonna come down. These are just stabilizers. They are not to level the RV at all. It just stabilizes it, so when you're walking inside, it doesn't wobble so much. The number one thing to remember is before you leave, walk around the RV, look under the RV before pulling away, and make sure your jacks are completely up. They are very expensive to replace, so just make sure those are up so you don't bend or break them. We're gonna talk about flushing on the other side, but I do wanna point out this right here. It says black tank flush. So if you're dumping the black tank, you wanna run water right through here, but we'll talk about that on the other side. I just want to point out where that is. You have your door right here. This is a door into the bathroom. That's really nice if you have kids coming and going, or you just need quick access to the restroom. These steps you just lift out and then they fold down and out. And then you just, once again, you're going to put those back up. One thing you also want to remember is this is a long RV. It's almost like a big teeter-totter. So you want to be very careful of where you're driving and what kind of terrain you're on. You do not want to have that teeter-totter up and then scrape or damage the stairs here. So you should just be going to normal RV parks, normal camping areas, no off-roading whatsoever. This is not meant for that, okay? So as we come around, you do have a spare tire. Hopefully you don't need that. But one thing we wanna let you know is trailers don't come with jacks for changing a tire. If you had a tire issue, you would use your vehicle jack to change the tire. As we come around to this side, there's a storage compartment. This is a lot of times where we'll put the sewer hose and things like that. And then you have a nice light here for if you're dumping at night or hooking your power in. This is your shore cord right here. This is where you'd plug in for power. We're gonna talk about dumping. So there's a sewer hose. You're gonna screw that sewer hose on right here. And then you have two pull levers. You have a black and a gray handle. Black is sewage, gray is dirty shower and sink water. You're gonna hook on, you're gonna pull your black lever first. That's gonna drain out that sewer. Now, as we were talking about on the other side, there's that flush. So you'll hook in with your water hose and actually clean out that the black tank. But what you wanna make sure that this is always open if you have water hooked into the RV running through there. Do not keep this closed. That can damage the tank. It could also cause it to backflow up into the bathroom, the sewage. So just be extremely careful when using that, pay attention. And then you have your gray one. You always do that second it kind of flushes out the hose. But you would turn off the water if you're flushing the black. So once you do the black is separate, you'll turn it off, detach the hose, and then you can worry about the gray one, okay? So as we come around, this is your shore cord. I think we talked about that. You're gonna plug in right there. And then we have two connections here, or one connection and one water fill. So this is city water. We actually don't recommend you use the city water connect. You can spring leaks. Inside an RV, the plumbing is not like your house. There's just plastic fittings. They just kind of squeeze them together and they can tend to leak, especially if there's excess pressure. And you don't know what the pressure is at an RV park and all that kind of stuff. So what we actually recommend you do is actually just fill up the water tank right here and then use the water pump inside. That's pressurized to the correct pressure. So you wouldn't have those kind of issues. Just remember, if you do plug into the park or you're running the water pump, anytime you're not using water, we always want you to go out and shut off the water. If it's outside at the park, shut it off. If it's a water pump, shut that off. Once again, you don't want to get a water leak and go hiking for the day. You come back and one of those hoses had popped loose and one of the plumbing fittings had come loose and you come back to a flooded trailer. So we always recommend whenever you're not using water, turn it off. You have a large slide out right here. It comes out about 4 feet. Just remember to not park next to trees or other vehicles. Always pay attention to the slide out, and before you close it, double check the top to make sure no debris has got up there or anything like that. And then hopefully you don't, we don't need you to do it or whatever, but underneath here there's a freshwater dump lever valve. So you can, if you don't want to tow fresh water back, you can pull that valve and it will actually drain all the clean water. We always recommend leaving some water in it. And you never know when you have an emergency bathroom stop or something like that. It's always kind of better just to have a little water in case you needed it. As we come around, we're going to talk about the front area a little bit. There's not much to the front here. You do have your hot water heater though. It's located right here. It is gas only, so just make sure that you have enough propane if you're wanting hot water. We're gonna head on inside and show you how to use everything in there. All right, guys, we're gonna go over how to use the inside of the RV. First off, this right here on the wall is the brains of this RV, okay? You have your water pump, your water heater, you have your main lights, you have some exterior lights and your awning control, you have your slide out control, and then your awning in and out. Just remember, anytime you're moving the awning or, the slide out, make sure nobody's sitting in the slide out or nobody is, no gears in the way of the slide out or anything like that. Also, when you're sending it out, make sure there's no trees or anything or vehicles parked next to you. And then the other one is the awning. Just remember, wind, rain, anything like that at all, keep that awning closed. You don't want to have to replace that. They are very expensive. We're going to head into the master bedroom here and check out a couple things. First off, this is an awesome front bedroom layout. It's fantastic. One thing we like to point out is this outlet right here. This is the only outlet in here that'll actually run just off of the batteries. All the other outlets you need to be plugged into shore power or running a generator to use. There are USB-C outlets and USB outlets around the RV inside. Those will also run off the battery, but any outlets like a 110, that's actually going to be running off a generator or shore power. All right, so as we come around, we're gonna talk about the sofa here. This is actually a jackknife sofa, so it turns into a bed. Super easy. All you do is you're just gonna lift up on this and kind of pull it out. It'll lay flat, and then you'll have a bed there for sleeping. You also have another bed right here. It's a huge dinette. This is fantastic. Even an adult could sleep here. You just remove the tabletop. You're gonna remove those two legs, and then right here, there is a groove all the way around, and you actually just set the table right on top of this groove, and then you take these 2 rear cushions and lay it on top, and it creates another sleeping area, another bed. We're gonna talk about the kitchen. Just a couple things. We really like to go over the stovetop. This is not a glass cooktop, so do not put stuff on here to cook. You actually flip this up out of the way, and now that becomes your backsplash for cooking. You have your burners here, and then just remember, don't put the glass back down or anything like that at all while this is hot. Keep it up here, let it cool down, and also before you travel, make sure it's back down, and it kind of just slides into place right here, just like that, and it's flush. Also, don't travel with things on top of it or in the sink. You don't want to put things in the sink when you're traveling. Those aren't meant for that. We do have a microwave here, and then we have our fridge and freezer here. To operate the fridge and freezer, it's super easy. Just in the back of the freezer, there's just a dial, you'll just turn it on. And then you have your, right below the fridge is actually your breaker box and fuse panel box right here. Hopefully you never need to get into there, but if there's some electrical thing going on or an outlet's not working or something, we always recommend you check there first. And then right here, that red key, that's the power shut off to the RV. It'll actually completely shut everything down if that's turned off. And then you have, this is just a nice pantry. As we come back here, we're gonna talk about our heating and cooling system. So everything's gonna run right through here. You'll select the mode. It'll actually cycle through heat, air, fan, and off. And then you have some temperature controls here. Just remember, major appliances, microwave, air conditioner, the outlets, all that stuff needs a generator running to power, or you need to be plugged in at shore power, okay? You have a couple nice bunks here. It's really nice. And then we're gonna talk about the bathroom. Now these have a foot flush pedal for flushing the toilet. How these work in an RV is you actually hold it halfway down and it starts to fill the bowl with water so you can handle your business. And then when you're done, you're actually gonna compress it all the way down and it flushes it. We recommend you run about 5 seconds or 10 seconds worth of water through every time you use the bathroom. That way things don't pile up in there and become clogged. You do have a nice shower. At the top there, you have a shower head, and at the top of the shower head, there's a little switch. It's an on and off switch. Just make sure that when you're showering, people usually get wet and then turn it off at the switch there. Lather up and then turn it back on to rinse off. And then there is a hot water heater. It's just right here. All you do is you turn it on, you'll set your temperature, and then you're good to go. It does take about 5 minutes to heat up. And then you'd always want to shut that off when you're not using it, so you're just not wasting propane. And then right here next to that is a GFCI outlet. If there's an issue going on with some outlets or something like that, we always recommend you check the GFCI outlet first. And just double check that to make sure it didn't trip or anything like that. But other than that, you guys are gonna love this RV. We can't wait to see you, and we'll see you soon.